Hey guys, this weekend I saw Lincoln. Not that steaming pile of crap that came out a few months ago, but the one directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Sally Field, and Tommy Lee Jones. This is With a K Review. I'm Victor. It's been a month. Let's get to it. Before I get into this movie, I want to tell you a few interesting facts behind it. Daniel Day-Lewis was not the first person Steven Spielberg wanted for this role. It was actually Liam Neeson, who at the age of 56, he did not want to do this role because he felt he was too old, which is kind of weird because Daniel Day-Lewis is actually only 5 years younger than Liam Neeson. The movie's also gone through a 12-year development phase with Steven Spielberg. He's done a lot of research about this movie, and the movie is actually based on a book written by Doris Kern called Team of Rivals, and this book is actually based on the last 4 months of Lincoln's administration. Okay, background of the movie aside, let's go see Lincoln kill some vampires. No, seriously, that movie was really bad. Don't go see it. I really love vampire movies. The only thing that could have made that movie worse was, I will kill you. So when I heard Daniel Day-Lewis was going to be in this movie playing Lincoln, I really wasn't too worried about how he was going to portray President Lincoln. In fact, he's done a really good job in all the roles that he's ever been in. He did an extraordinary job as Bill the Butcher Cutting in Gangs of New York, and then in 2008 he did a fantastic job playing the villain in There Will Be Blood. He actually earned an Academy Award for that role. And let's just face it, any role he does, he drinks from the milkshake of awesome. Yeah. So the best way that I can describe this 2.5-hour epic is like you're watching an episode of The West Wing, except they don't do laps around the White House. The movie takes place in the White House, but it also takes place in some scenes in Congress. However, Lincoln does travel out to some of the battles and you get to see some of those, but that's not really where the focus is in the movie. Most of the focus of this movie is where Lincoln interacts with the other historical characters. Now, one of these characters that Lincoln does interact with a lot during the movie is Sally Field's character, Mary Todd Lincoln. Now, Sally Field has been in a ton of things over the years. She's most recently been on Brothers and Sisters. She's also been in the Spider-Man reboot as Aunt May, and she has many lists of other movies. She's been nominated all across the board. What's interesting about Sally Field's character is that she actually gives a lot of depth and insight into the life of Mary Todd Lincoln, who actually went through a period of kind of crazy when she was with Lincoln, and she really shows that in the movie, and she plays off Daniel Day-Lewis perfectly. She makes you really see into her character rather than just kind of playing that minor role. She brings it up a little bit and you actually feel that their relationship in the movie is genuine. And then you have the one historical character in this movie that is probably one of the most important, which is Thaddeus Stevens, who is actually a rival of Lincoln, played by Tommy Lee Jones. And just like Sally Field's character, he really does bring his character to life and how he worked really hard to abolish slavery and everything like that. He really has that gruff exterior like Tommy Lee Jones has, and Tommy Lee Jones uses his gruff exterior and everything else to bring out the character of Thaddeus Stevens and how he worked for and against Lincoln at times. Now, there are a lot of other historical figures that are in this movie, and they all do get their time on screen. Even though that time is very brief, they are all played by seasoned actors, and that's another good aspect of the movie. You have Jared Harris in this movie, who plays Ulysses S. Grant, and most of us remember him from Fringe, but a lot of us remember him as playing Moriarty from the second Sherlock Holmes movie. He's only on screen a few times, but again, he's a seasoned actor, and you actually get a feel for his character even though he's only there just a few times. You even have James Spader playing W.N. Bilbo. He helped get a lot of the votes needed to overturn slavery, and he brought a lot of the comedy into the movie, like James Spader is actually really good at. He's been in The Office the past season, and that's not so great, but you also probably remember him playing Boston Legal, which was probably one of his best roles. You also have Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this movie, and he plays Robert Lincoln. And it was really weird to see that father-son thing on the screen, because I really didn't think that that was going to work in the movie. I thought it was just going to be something really quick that would happen. But it actually turned out really well. It added a second layer to the movie because Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays off Daniel Day-Lewis very well, and you actually get a sense of that father-son struggle in the movie. And then of all people in this movie, you have this guy. That's right. This guy is somebody that I've never seen before, but yet I've seen everywhere. Let me explain. So this guy is David Strathairn. He plays William Seward in the movie. Now, I remember him from the sci-fi series Alphas, but he's also done many other movies over the years. I'm going to have a link for him in below so you can actually see what he's done over the years. But he actually does a really good job as a Secretary of State in this movie. He plays off Lincoln, he fights with Lincoln, he actually moves the movie along because this is a 2.5-hour epic, and for dear God, somebody has to move this along. This movie is not a movie that's an action movie. It's not where you go out and see all the battles and so forth. Lincoln does go to the battles, but he usually just goes there in the aftermath. There's like one in the beginning, it's like kind of violent, but that's not the important part. The important part of this movie is that you get to see how all these other historical characters affect Lincoln. This is a thinking man's movie. This is a movie where you see it, and if you're a history major, you will probably see that about 95% of this movie is actually historically accurate. I decided for this movie that I'm going to give it a 4K review because it actually does very well at historical accuracy, and it does very good on all of its characters. Daniel Day-Lewis does a great job, Sally Field. Everybody in this movie does the right amount to keep you interested in going to see this movie. So, I'm going to say, go see this movie in theaters, but if you're expecting to go see a movie that's really one of those action-packed biopics, it is not. This is a talking movie. This is a movie that you sit through and you actually get to know the characters, and there's not a whole lot of action, but there's enough of everything else, comedy, drama, tension, that will really keep you interested in this movie. Thanks guys for watching my show, and I really appreciate all the viewers that I have. I have 21 subscribers, and you know what? I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a secret. Next weekend, I'm going to film a special episode of With a K Review, and I'm going to do something a little neat. So it's going to be a dedication to all you guys. If you would please subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. I don't do this for any type of money or anything. I do this because I really like watching movies. So remember, if you don't like what you're watching, you can always turn it off. Thanks guys.